Have you ever had a conversation with a friend about a specific brand of shoes or a vacation spot you were thinking about visiting, only to open your phone 5 minutes later and see an advertisement for that exact thing? It feels like your device is reading your mind, right? Most people brush it off as a coincidence or a creepy glitch in the matrix, but the reality is much more calculated. There is a deeply buried setting on your smartphone, hidden behind layers of menus and complex technical jargon, that is essentially giving every app you install a VIP pass to watch your every move. We aren't just talking about your location or your camera. We are talking about a digital shadow that follows you across the entire internet, recording what you buy, what you search for, and even how long you hover your thumb over a specific image. This is the world of cross-app tracking. And today we are going to unmask the hidden toggle that lets the big tech giants see everything you do. We are going to go step by step through your settings to shut this down immediately because your privacy shouldn't be the price you pay for using a smartphone. To understand why this setting exists, we have to look at the invisible economy that powers your phone. Most of the apps you use are free, but as the saying goes, if you aren't paying for the product, you are the product. Your digital behavior is a gold mine. Advertisers don't just want to know that you like coffee. They want to know that you like oat milk lattes, that you usually buy them on Tuesday mornings, and that you are currently browsing for a new espresso machine. To get this level of detail, apps use something called an identifier for advertisers. Think of this as a digital license plate that is attached to your phone. Every time you move from Facebook to Safari, or from a game to a shopping app, that license plate is scanned. This allows companies to build a massive, terrifyingly accurate profile of exactly who you are. By turning off this one hidden setting, you are essentially taking that license plate off your car and making it much harder for the data brokers to link your activities together. Let's start with the iPhone users because Apple has made a lot of noise about privacy lately. They still leave certain doors cracked open by default. You need to head into your Settings app and scroll down until you see the section labeled Privacy and Security. Once you tap that, you'll see an option called Tracking. Most people ignore this, thinking it refers to GPS, but it's actually much more invasive. Inside this menu, you'll see a toggle that says Allow apps to request to track. If this is on, apps can ask other apps and websites owned by different companies for your data. You might think, well, I just won't hit Allow when the pop-up appears. But here is the secret. By toggling the master switch to off, you are telling your phone to automatically deny every single request without even bothering you with a notification. It's like putting a no trespassing sign on your digital front door that applies to everyone at once. Now for the Android world, it's a bit more like a scavenger hunt. Because Android is owned by Google, and Google's primary business is advertising, these settings are often buried even deeper. You need to go to your settings and find the section labeled Google. From there, tap on Ads. You will likely see something called your Advertising ID. This is your digital fingerprint. Under the old system, you could only reset it, which is like changing your name but keeping the same face. But in the newer versions of Android, there is an option to delete Advertising ID. This is the nuclear option for privacy, and it is exactly what you want to do. By deleting this ID, you are telling the Google Play services to stop providing that unique identifier to third-party apps. It doesn't stop ads entirely, but it stops the ads from being personalized by watching your history. It turns the tracking into a blurry mess, which is exactly what we want. But we can't stop there because there is another setting that is even more subtle, and it involves your actual physical movements. Both iPhone and Android have a feature called Significant Locations, or Frequent Places. Your phone keeps a detailed log of every place you visit frequently: your gym, your office, your favorite restaurant, and it records exactly when you arrived and when you left. Apple and Google claim this is to provide better services like traffic alerts, but this data is a treasure map of your life. On an iPhone, you find this under Privacy and Security, then Location Services, then System Services, and finally Significant Locations. You will be shocked at how much it knows about your daily routine. On Android, go into your Google account settings, find Data and Privacy, and look for Timeline or Location History. Turn these off and clear the history. There is no reason for your phone to keep a diary of your physical coordinates from 3 years ago. Why does the tech industry fight so hard to keep these settings on? It's because data is the new oil. Companies like Meta and Google make billions by selling the ability to target you with extreme precision. When you turn off cross-app tracking, you are directly affecting their bottom line. This is why when Apple first introduced the app tracking transparency feature, some of the biggest apps on Earth launched massive PR campaigns claiming that privacy would hurt small businesses. The reality is that it only hurts the middlemen who profit from your personal secrets. By reclaiming your data, you aren't just protecting yourself. You are participating in a global movement to change how the internet works. You are demanding a world where your private conversations and browsing habits are no longer part of a global auction. Let's talk about a setting that almost everyone overlooks: microphone and camera permissions. We've all had that feeling that our phones are listening to us. While the tech companies deny they are constantly recording, the permissions you grant often allow apps to listen for specific triggers or metadata. Go back into your privacy settings and look at the microphone tab. Look at the list of apps that have access. Does that simple puzzle game really need to hear what's happening in your living room? Does that photo editor need access to your microphone? Probably not. The rule of thumb should be: if an app doesn't absolutely need a permission to function, revoke it. You can always turn it back on later if you find a specific feature you need, but most of the time these apps are just gathering background noise to figure out if you're watching TV or talking to a specific person. Another hidden drain on your privacy is background app refresh. This is a setting that allows apps to check for updates and new content even when you aren't using them. While this sounds helpful for things like email or weather, it's also an opportunity for apps to ping servers and report your status. On iPhone, this is under General and then Background App Refresh. On Android, it's often called Background Data or App Standby. Turning this off for non-essential apps doesn't just protect your data, it also significantly improves your battery life. Most of these apps are calling home dozens of times an hour, consuming power and bandwidth just to tell a server that you're still at home and your phone is still turned on. We also have to look at the hidden browsers inside apps. When you click a link in an app like Facebook or Instagram, it doesn't usually open your default browser like Safari or Chrome. Instead, it opens a built-in browser. This allows the app to track every single thing you do on that website. Every click, every scroll, every piece of text you type. To bypass this, you should always look for the Open in Browser button, usually found in the three-dot menu at the corner of the screen. This forces the link to open in your main browser where you likely have stronger privacy protections and ad blockers. Using the in-app browser is like letting the app look over your shoulder while you read a private letter. What about your analytics and improvement settings? Both Apple and Google want you to help them make their products better by sending them logs of how you use your phone. This includes things like how long you spend in certain menus and even anonymized data about crashes. While this sounds noble, these logs can contain a surprising amount of information that could potentially be linked back to you. On an iPhone, go to Privacy and Security and then scroll to the very bottom to find Analytics and Improvements. Turn everything off. On Android, look for Usage and Diagnostics under the Google or Privacy menus. Believe me, these trillion-dollar companies have plenty of ways to improve their software without looking at your personal usage logs. While we are in the settings, let's talk about Bluetooth. Most people leave Bluetooth on all the time for their headphones or car. However, Bluetooth can also be used for beacon tracking. Stores and malls use tiny Bluetooth transmitters to detect when your phone is nearby, allowing them to track your path through the store without you ever connecting to their Wi-Fi. You'll notice in your privacy settings a section for Bluetooth. This shows you which apps have requested permission to use the Bluetooth radio. If a retail app or a social media app has this permission, they are likely using it to track your physical presence in the real world. Revoke these permissions for any app that doesn't actually need to connect to a physical device. For those who want to be truly secure, we have to talk about DNS or domain name system. Every time you visit a website, your phone asks a server to translate the name of the site into an IP address. By default, your internet service provider or your phone manufacturer sees every single request you make. However, on modern smartphones, you can set a private DNS. Look for this in your network settings. By using a privacy-focused DNS like Cloudflare or AdGuard, you can encrypt these requests and even block tracking servers at the network level. It's like using a coded language so the switchboard operator of the internet can't see who you are calling. One of the most powerful things you can do is conduct a privacy audit once a month. Go into the App Store or Google Play Store and look at the privacy labels. These labels act like nutrition facts for your data. They tell you exactly what the app collects: financial info, search history, contact info, etc. If you see an app that collects way more than it needs, consider finding an alternative. There is almost always a privacy-focused version of every popular app. For example, instead of a standard search engine, you can use one that doesn't track your history. Instead of a standard map app, you can use one that values your privacy. The aggregate effect of these small choices is a much more secure digital life. Let's address the elephant in the room: convenience. People often say, "I like targeted ads because I find cool stuff to buy." And that's a fair point. But there is a difference between an app knowing you like shoes and an app knowing where you sleep, who your doctor is, and what you talk about with your spouse. The problem isn't the ads themselves, but the invisible web of surveillance required to generate them. When you turn off these hidden settings, you aren't saying, "I never want to see an ad again." You're saying, "I want to be in control of my own story." You are preventing your data from being stolen, sold, and potentially used in ways you never intended. In the world of computer knowledge, we often talk about attack surfaces. Your phone is the largest attack surface in your life. It is the device that is closest to you at all times. By narrowing the permissions and turning off the tracking, you are reducing that surface. You are making it much harder for malicious actors, hackers, or even just aggressive marketers to get a foothold in your life. This isn't about being paranoid. It's about being proactive. A well-configured phone is a tool that serves you, rather than a spy that reports on you. Another setting to check is emergency alerts and wireless emergency alerts. While these are vital for safety, some regions have seen these systems used for non-emergency messaging. More importantly, check your safety and emergency settings on Android, or your emergency SOS settings on iPhone. Ensure that your medical ID and emergency contacts are set up properly, but also be aware of the location sharing features in these menus. Sometimes, people accidentally leave their live location shared with an old contact or a family member who no longer needs to see it. It's always good to refresh these lists. Let's look at the Find My or Find My Device settings. These are incredible tools for when you lose your phone, but they also rely on a network of other devices to help locate yours. Apple's Find My network uses hundreds of millions of other iPhones to find your device even if it's offline. While Apple has built this with strong encryption, it is still a form of constant signaling. For 99% of people, the benefit of being able to find a lost phone outweighs the privacy risk, but it's a setting you should understand. If you're going into a sensitive meeting or a situation where you want total digital silence, you may want to temporarily disable these Find My signals. Another advanced tip: check your profiles and device management on iPhone or device admin apps on Android. Occasionally, intrusive apps or employer-managed software will install a profile that gives the app deep control over your system settings. This is often how those free apps that promise to change your icons or provide secret themes work. They aren't just changing your wallpaper. They are installing a management layer that can see almost everything you do. If you see a profile in there that you don't recognize or that you didn't intentionally install, delete it immediately. This is one of the most common ways for stalkerware or aggressive tracking software to hide on a device. We also have to consider the share sheet or share suggestions. Have you ever noticed that when you go to share a photo, your phone suggests the people you message most frequently? This means the operating system is constantly analyzing your communication patterns to predict who you want to talk to. While this is done locally on the device, it can be a privacy risk if someone else is looking over your shoulder. You can usually disable these Siri suggestions or contact suggestions in the Siri or Google settings. It adds one more layer of privacy to your daily interactions. Let's talk about mail privacy protection on the iPhone. When you open an email, the sender often includes a tiny, invisible image called a tracking pixel. This pixel tells the sender exactly when you opened the email, where you were when you opened it, and what device you were using. This is how marketing companies know if their campaigns are effective. In the mail settings on an iPhone, you can toggle on Protect Mail Activity. This hides your IP address and loads remote content privately in the background, making it impossible for senders to track you through your inbox. On other platforms, you can achieve this by using an email client that blocks remote images by default. Another area of concern is Wi-Fi scanning and Bluetooth scanning in the location settings. Even if you have Wi-Fi turned off, your phone may still be silently scanning for nearby networks to help improve location accuracy. This is essentially the same as beacon tracking. You can find these toggles under Location Services and then Scanning on many Android devices. Turning these off saves battery and prevents your phone from broadcasting its presence to every router you walk past. For the most privacy-conscious users, we should discuss alternative app stores and sideloading. While Apple is just starting to allow this in certain regions, Android has allowed it for years. While this gives you more freedom, it also bypasses the walled garden protections of the official stores. Every time you install an app from a third-party source, you are taking a massive risk. These apps don't have the same privacy labels and aren't subject to the same rigorous testing. Unless you are a developer or a highly advanced user, the safest bet is to stick to the primary stores. But even then, you must remain vigilant with the settings we've discussed. We are entering an era where our phones are becoming extensions of our memories and personalities. They know our secrets, our finances, and our relationships. The hidden setting we started with, the advertising identifier, is just the tip of the iceberg. The real challenge is maintaining a privacy mindset. It's about realizing that every yes you give to a pop-up and every allow you tap is a trade. You are trading a piece of your digital self for a moment of convenience. By taking the time to go through these settings, you are making that trade more balanced. I want you to think about your phone not as a magical black box, but as a computer. And like any computer, it only does what it's told. By default, it's told to be as helpful to advertisers as possible. By changing these settings, you are telling it to be helpful to you asterisk. You are reclaiming your digital sovereignty. You are making your phone a fortress rather than a billboard. Imagine if a stranger followed you around a grocery store, writing down every item you looked at and how long you looked at it. You would call the police. But we allow apps to do this every day because we can't see them doing it. Turning off these settings is the equivalent of closing the blinds and locking the door. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It just means that your life is your own. Make it a habit to check your battery usage settings as well. This is a secret way to find tracking apps. If you see an app that you haven't used in days consuming 10% or 15% of your battery in the background, that app is likely running telemetry, the process of gathering and sending data back to a server. This is a huge red flag. Delete any app that is behaving like a parasite on your hardware. Computer knowledge is power. The more you know about how these devices work, the less they can be used against you. This hidden setting we've uncovered is just one piece of a much larger puzzle, but it's a vital piece. It's the one that breaks the chain of cross-app surveillance. When you turn it off, you are throwing a wrench in the machinery of the data economy. In conclusion, your phone is an incredible tool, perhaps the most powerful ever invented. But it needs a pilot, not just a passenger. By following these steps and turning off these invasive tracking features, you are stepping into the cockpit. You are taking control of your digital destiny. You are ensuring that your device works for you and only for you. Don't let the app see everything you do. Take back your privacy, turn off the tracking, and enjoy your phone with the peace of mind that comes from knowing your data is exactly where it belongs, in your hands. This is how you win the game of digital privacy. It's not about quitting the internet. It's about participating on your own terms. Your phone, your data, your rules. Proceed with confidence, shut down the spies, and protect your digital shadow.